Okay, so now I'm going into page 405. And on page 405, I am going to give you an assignment. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to graph all of these points. So this is at -3, 8, and I'm going to graph that. Then it's at -2, 4, and I'm going to graph that. Then it's at -1, 2, and I'm going to graph that. And going all the way down. And this creates a type of graph. Okay, so from that table, I can see that I've created this thing that is exponential because it's that curve, and it's a decay. So what I want you to do is I want you to graph all of these on your own. You have the ability to do that. And then I want you to tell me which one you think it is based on its picture. Then next week, we're going to talk about using just the tables. We'll talk about this next week. Okay. So I just want you to graph right now. You're going to pause this video. You're going to take some time to do that. And then you'll move on. I've got a little bit more of a lesson to teach to you. So right here, this is talking about a dolphin. And so in class, I would make you draw dolphins. And we would talk about who drew the best one and who drew the worst one. And it's a little fun. Mine always turns out looking really weird every year. And I want to talk about how this is the water line. So this is the water line, and everywhere where the water happens, you're either jumping out of the water or into the water, and either way you make a splash. Since this is at 0, we call these zeros, but we also call them something called x-intercepts. And that's because it's where it touches the x-axis. So they're called two different things. They have two names. And both of these words are vocab words that you need to know. But they both make sense because this is where it's at 0, and it's also where it touches the x-axis. So it's an x-intercept. Okay. We also need to talk about these 2 points right here. They are special points, and they're called maximums. Maximums. And I want you to know that this one's the most special maximum because it is the highest of the high. So it's the most special one. This one's the lowest of the low. It's a minimum. It is actually my only minimum because it is the only place that it goes down and then back up. I want you to notice that this goes by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas this one goes by 1, 2, 3, 20. So we got to take a guess. And for me, that's 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay. So from there, now that we've labeled our graph, we can talk about all of these questions down here. So it wants you to describe what's happening between 0 and 6 seconds, which is what's happening right here. Sorry, I got something in my throat. So from 0 to 6 seconds, the dolphin's jumping out and hitting the water. Okay. I want you to understand that this question right here asks, can you determine how far it went? And you can't. And the reason why is because this x-axis represents time. It does not represent distance. So you cannot, because this represents time, it does not represent distance. So the answer there is no. You need to write a sentence here. This is f of t. And when f of t does equal 0, that's when we don't know what x is because x equals t. We do know what y is. We know y equals 0. And there's lots of places here where y equals 0 and it hits. It's everywhere it splashes. So the answers are x equals 0, 6, see it? 0, 6, and there are 2 more answers. So you fill in those blanks. So it wants to know how long in seconds was the dolphin swimming underwater. And it's underwater in this period of time. And that happens from this point to that point. So from 6 to 16, how many seconds are there? And the answer is 10. You need to show your work. There's some sort of work here. And then estimate the maximum height. So my maximum is the highest. And that one is my highest maximum. Since this goes by 5s, this would be about 25. And so to go from 20 to 25, this is about 22, 23. I would like you to label it. So I want you to know that 23 is feet. Then when we go here, I need you to notice that negative sign. And that negative sign represents underwater. And when it is underwater, at -50, we're at this minimum. But we don't want this y value, we want the x value. So for some of you, you're going to draw the line up to 11, and for some of you, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 11. And I want you to label that 11 seconds. Okay, then it says explain the information in coordinates. So we need to know x equals, y equals, and put it into coordinate points. My x is 11, my y is -50, and this is 11, -50. So you should have all your pages 403 through 407 done right now. And then next week we'll keep working. Bye, guys.